What's up everyone, Sean here. Today's video is going to be how to do an LT1 coolant flush. LT1 is a little bit trickier than a normal engine. It's got the reverse flow coolant system. I'm going to show you today how to do the coolant flush the simple way. I'm not trying to go, do a full coolant flush. Give you some pointers, some tips. I'll tell you how to do it, a full one if you'd like, but I'm going to just today show you how to do a simple and easy coolant flush on your LT1. First, make sure for your safety that your car has cooled down. Don't go driving downtown, around the block, to the grocery store, and come back home and think, man, now's the time to do that coolant flush. No, let it cool down. If you have to wait overnight, whatever. You don't want it to be hot when you go to do this. You don't want hot stuff touching you. You don't want to be touching hot stuff, especially if it gets in your face or something like that. So first, once your car is cool, go ahead and remove your radiator cap. Got mine out. Now my coolant system has been nasty ever since I've owned the car. When I got it, I knew the coolant system had lacked being changed in a long time, neglected. So I came home and flushed it 3 times, did a heater core flush. The lines for the heater core actually were so gonked up, I had to take a razor blade and slice them off and put new hoses on for the heater core because I couldn't get nothing to go through it. And once I flushed it, solid 5 minutes of nothing but black muck came out, and I used a white bucket so I could watch it come out, and ugh, nasty. Anyways, so you have that radiator cap off. There's 2 screws. This screw right here, this bleeder valve screw, and another one right there, if you can see it. That one right here, that's another bleeder valve screw. Just go ahead, open up a couple cranks, get yourself a bucket, got some coolant. Some people like to run nothing but distilled water with their coolant at a 50-50 mix. I really don't care. As you see, I have my hose out because I just don't care. I'm gonna just use my hose. It's fine. I've done it before. I'm planning on probably having to regut this whole coolant system, put in a new radiator and everything. If you jack up your vehicle, it'll be much easier. But down on the passenger side is going to be your radiator drain plug. There's your radiator drain plug. And it's pretty simple to loosen it up. Couple cranks. Couple cranks. Alright, if you want to do the full coolant flush, on the left hand side of your engine there is the block coolant drain plug. You're going to want to remove that in order to get all the coolant out of the engine block. And on the right hand side of the engine is a knock sensor that you're going to want to remove. That'll help get the coolant out of the engine. I'm not going to be doing that today. I will try to throw up some pictures of where they're located just so you know. There's a good write-up on it from Shoebox, SHBOX.com. I'll throw the link down below for you so you can check it out. Now, I'm going to take my handy-dandy bucket, whatever, container, set it where you think you're going to need it. And then just loosen this up. you're going to turn it several times. Wow. Just a little bit came out the bottom drain. That's nasty. I'm gonna try to set the camera up so when I put the hose in you can see everything coming out. Obviously the coolant's so gunked up in here it won't even flow out. Which I knew it was bad. I mean, like I said, this is going to be the 4th time flushing this out. Alright, well, since nothing's coming out because it's so clogged, let's see if we can unclog it. There you go. Now usually you wouldn't have to take the plug out all the way, it would just come out this first plug hole, the lower one pointing down. But it is quick if you take the whole thing out. I mean, look how fast that's flowing. There you go, sometimes you get something clogged up that just sits at the bottom down there and you might have to stick something in. I just poked this in there, I mean, look how nasty that is. Poked it in there and shot right out. And you can keep flushing out the radiator as much as you want. In my opinion, the more the merrier, depending upon how dirty it is. If it's pretty clean, then obviously you don't have to flush out as much. You just keep running the hose in it. Alright, once that stops, I'm going to go ahead and put that plug back in and show you what I'll do next. What's up, everyone? So, before I could put that drain plug back in the bottom, it got clogged up again. I had to stick the screwdriver in there a couple times. Got it to come out. Here's a moment of truth. You guys want to see how nasty this is? And this is not that bad compared to what it has been. Oh, that is freaking disgusting. And this is now the 4th time that I have flushed this. Once I did do the full flush, and then the other 2 times I just did this process that I'm doing now, and it's still looking like that. And I even used the first time this additive that you put into your radiator, and you let it work for a few hours while you drive around, just to try to break up everything, and it still is bad. So this is why I think I'm gonna have to just replace the whole coolant system, because it is horrendous. Now I got the plug back in. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill up the radiator with water until it gets close to the top, and then I'm gonna start it up and see about where it's sitting at. I myself do not have a thermostat in the car. I never really have had a thermostat with this type of coolant. It's been a pain in the ass to run a thermostat. It just runs a whole lot better without it, even though people argue saying you shouldn't run your car without a thermostat. Other people I know have ran their LT1s 20, 30, 40,000 miles without their thermostat and haven't had any problems. So let me add some water into it. Alright, I put some water in, at least enough to get it started. Now I'm going to start up the car and see what the coolant level's at. See if I can put some more water in it. Car running and your bleeder screws open, you can go ahead and put some more water in. And now all I'm really trying to do is give it enough time the water to cycle through the engine, since I'm not emptying the drain plug out or taking the drain plug out to empty the coolant out of the block. I'm trying to run what fresh water I just put into the radiator through the engine to help clean it out somewhat. It's not 100%, but it will be better. Just keep an eye on your overflow and everything, and keep an eye on your bleeder screws, because coolant will start coming out of them. And of course, you're always going to want to keep an eye on your temperature gauge. Make sure it ain't running too hot. Which, since the car is real cool right now, I don't have to worry about that. Now after it's ran for a minute, I'm going to go ahead and drain out what water and everything, gunk, is in there and see how it looks. Alright, let it ran for a minute, let it run for a minute. And I already removed the cap again, cleaned out my bucket, and now we're going to see how dirty it gets again. Well, this sucks. Got it on my hand. Got it all on the driveway. Shucks. Oh well. See that? Water's looking a little clear. Alright, the moment of truth. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Still nasty, but it's not as bad. We've seen a little clear water coming out at the end. Alright, that second time, when it got all over my hand, the water slash coolant was a little warm. The more times you do it, the warmer it's going to be, so just make sure you don't get it on yourself. If you just loosen that screw up, the drain plug up a little bit, it'll come out that bottom one like I told you. And that'll be fine. You won't really get anything on you, but I wanted to take mine all the way out just to make sure there wasn't nothing gunked up in there and make sure it was flowing good. Now what you're going to do is, once you've done that as many times as you've wanted and it's as clean as it can be, go ahead and with your screws, your bleeder screws, your 2 bleeder screws still open, go ahead and start slowly filling this up with water, coolant mixture, whatever floats your boat. If you're going to do the water coolant mixture, I'd do around a 50-50 mix. Go ahead and start filling it up until you get pretty close to the top. Also, I forgot to tell you, big warning, while you're doing all this and working with water and fluids, your OptiSpark that's down there, I hope you know where it's at because I can't really get a good glimpse of it. Your OptiSpark, where all your plug wires go into, try to cover that up. Especially if you're going to be careless, if you don't know what you're doing, just to make sure you don't get no fluids on it, because the OptiSpark is notorious for having problems, especially if it has fluid and moisture by it, around it, gets in it. It's bad problems. It's not cheap, a few $100. So just remember to be careful around the front right side of the motor if you're facing it, driver's side. Alright, let me start adding some more water now. Alright, can't really tell, but I got it to come up pretty close to the top, but still inside a little bit. That way I can turn it on and let it start running and see. It might start to raise a little bit for a minute or however long, and before it starts working all the way through, especially if you have your thermostat still in there. If you do this whole process, you can take your thermostat out and it'll be easier. Mine's already out, so I don't have to worry about it. But make sure you put it back in before you start to fill it, if you've taken it out. Also, I want to let you know real quick, for a manual transmission, it will be 15.3 quarts, and for an automatic, it'll be about 15.1 quarts. So around 15 quarts you'll need if you're trying. Now you're going to want to let it run for a minute and watch it. And as time goes on, you can start putting more water in it. You don't want to put too much though. And I still have my bleeder screws open. Closed, flat tip, towel. You're going to want to use this towel because your bleeder screws will start spraying out a little bit of your coolant water, and that's how you get all the air pockets out. This LT1 engine with the reverse flow cooling system is notorious for getting air pockets. That's why there's 2 bleeder valves. So just leave those open until you start getting some liquid out. You might want to close one and do one, and then go back to the other one. Check them a couple times. Just let the car run. You're going to want to let it run for a few minutes, get it to operating temperature. Upper 100s, lower 200s. Especially if you have a thermostat. You're going to want the thermostat to open up to get the flow start moving through. She's moving. Also, being in Florida and it being like 90, 95 degrees, it's already pretty hot out. I know you couldn't really see the coolant coming out of the other one down there. Once you get it flowing out, close it up. You can see the air pockets coming out with the water coolant mixture. I do it a couple times just to make sure. There you go. You know there's no air bubbles up in that one. This one, the one below, is the one I started with down here, and I've done that one a couple times, and now I've done that one a couple times. There should be no air in the system now. Now I've let the car run for a few minutes, made sure all the air was out of the system as much as I could. You've seen the fluid coming out of the bleeder valves. And now, since it's ran for a few minutes, I'm going to let it cool down for a second, and then I'm going to take this off and check the water level in the radiator. Still got some room, so I'm going to go ahead and put some more in it. After I fill it up some more with it running, I'm going to go ahead and check my bleeder valves again, just to double check and make sure. And then you're going to want to go on the ground and make sure you don't have no leaks going on. Make sure everything's cleaned up. And then you're pretty much good to go. As long as your coolant level is good, you can see it in your radiator. There ain't no air pockets, bubbles coming out of the two bleeder valves. Drive around a little bit, keep your eye on that temperature gauge, and make sure it don't get too hot. If it does, what you can do is raise up the front end of your car on jacks or blocks or whatever, and once you raise it up, the idea is, the motor will be sitting cocked like this, and it'll allow for any air bubbles that's inside the engine to go up towards the top, and hopefully the theory would be come out the bleeder valves. But this is like the third or fourth time I've done this. It's pretty simple. Just make sure there's nothing in it. Start it up, drive around a little bit, keep checking it out. Hopefully I've got another video coming tomorrow. You're going to want to stay tuned to that one. It's going to be about my giveaway I'm going to be doing, since tomorrow's my 1-year anniversary since my first intro video for the Garage Mishaps channel. I've had my channel since 2007, but back in 2007 I was just 17, and I just made a channel just to have it, and I never did anything with it until last August. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Till next time. Peace. Now I've got to clean up this mess. Oh, pooey. Alright, took the car for a drive. It's been sitting idling for about 10-15 minutes after I drove it for about 5. Still no leaks. Perfect. Love it. Peace.